in spirituality and not in religiosity.
That's right.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
In the sense that you would never go into a Christian church where they would teach you how to travel, how to go inside yourself,
No,
how to meditate.
in the established churches, you come to church and you listen to the minister.
Yes, yes.
And then you go back home. Yes.
So the power of religions like the Baptist and the Orisha and things like that is that there's a very close affinity to your gods.
Yeah.
The point I am making is that you had that kind of level, you have a very close and intimate contact between the
priest and the god.
priest and the gods.
Yeah.
I have a friend, we went to school together, and he's now a Orisha priest, and he was telling me that his daughter, when she got sick with fibroids, they were going to operate on her. And he went and he consulted the oracle, and the oracle told him, no, now's not the time to do that operation, postpone it. And he postponed it, and he postponed it, and every time he postponed it, he made a sacrifice. And finally, when he reached the third time, the oracle says, yes, you may go ahead now. So they went and they had the operation. And when he was finished and the doctor came out, he says to him, he says, it's a good thing you didn't do that operation, you know, a few months ago, you know, the chances are your daughter might have died because of so and so and so and so. He said, I went home and I offered thanks to the God. But that was a direct communication.
Yes.
We have lost that. We have our communication indirect through another person.
Right. So we have gone from having a personal relationship with God to having an intermediary between God and us.
Yes.
Yeah. So if that intermediary decides that me and going and do nothing for this person, as you would say,
well, they mightn't say that. It might just be a inherent bias,
yeah.
right? If you have a racist priest,
Yeah.
you know, and you do have them,
Yeah.
and he comes and he, you know, I remember my mother telling me once that she went down to the sanctuary, and she was a very devout thing, and she heard a priest castigate a poor woman. And she was so offended, she got up and she says to him, you're supposed to be a priest. You're supposed to guide us.
Yeah.
And he humped and jumped and he walked out and slammed the door. And she said it almost took away all her faith. You know, but she had to fall back on the thing, well, he's just a representative.
Yeah, yeah.
But how many people would have gone past that craziness?
Yeah.
You understand?
But even today, a lot of people look at the priest, and if the priest fall, they say, well, if the priest doing it, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
So they find themselves in more trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That could open a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
So you say, you have to carry on that kind of discussion. You have to understand where you're at, you know, and what you're doing and how you're doing it. And long ago I came to the conclusion that if you steal a man's symbols in his head, you steal the power of his soul.
So we're coming back to the whole idea of the white Jesus on the cross.
That's only one aspect.
Right.
You know? So that what has happened even in the Baptist faith,
Yeah.
is that there's been a rejection
Of a lot of the ancient symbols, the ancient landmarks.
ancient landmarks and the ancient gods. So that when they're doing the prayer and the ancient gods come, they jump up and they ball Jesus, when in actual fact it's not Jesus, it's the other gods. And then people tell you, any gods that you have that is not Christian is demons. How could that be? You know?
All right. But we're using the term gods.
You know what the Catholic Church did? When they went into a place and it had Bacchus, the god of wine, all of a sudden Bacchus became a saint, so that became Saint Bacchus.
Okay.
Right?
And Barnabas and all of these.
I was listening to a tape the other day, and the guy says that when you get up in the morning, you say the sun comes up over the horizon, right? What does horizon mean?
Horizon, the edge of your vision.
Door of Horus, who's the god of the sun.
Okay. Did not know that. All right.
Right? And when the sun is going down, What do you say is doing? What do you have?
The sun is setting.
The sun is setting.
Yeah.
Break up the two words. Sun, set.
Yeah.
Who is set?
The God of the underworld.
God is darkness. So inside the very words and symbols that we use, we still pray into the Egyptian gods.
So in normal life, we have all these encoded signs, symbols, and terminology.
You say your prayers.
Yeah.
When you finish say your prayers, what's the last word you say?
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I know in Egyptian is Amen Ra.
You got away by the skin of your teeth.
But
So-
in Christianity,
no,
Amen
no.
means let it be so.
No. The word is the word, right?
Yeah.
Amen
Yeah.
is the close of your prayer. So you're closing your prayer with a petition to Amen.
So, but they tell you that means Amen means it's an agreement. Let it be so. So let it be.
Yes,
Or-
so Saint Bacchus is not really got a priapism and wine, right? Is a saint.
But
Well, so in other words, any explanation that we have
yes,
is an explanation that hides the truth.
right. I'm in agreement with that. But where did the explanation that continue that leads us to believe the fallacy then?
The same way that the explanation to put God as a white man, Jesus as a white man,
Okay.
and everybody accepts it, when in actual fact it wasn't so.
But even today, you tell people that Jesus black and they say, but look, I had Jesus on that picture there.
Yes, but they don't know where that picture come from.
Exactly.
Who painted that picture?
Right? My great aunt, I remember growing up in our house, and over the door, she had a picture of Jesus with the Sacred Heart and the 5 wombs over the front door.
Mhm.
So when you come in and you go in, you're seeing this Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, so that further programmed me to believe that when I see that picture, I know that it's Jesus.
Right. So here it is that you're paying obeisance all the time, and you're paying obeisance to that white guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just as how in Germany, all the pictures of the Madonna,
Yeah.
they're black. All the statues are black, so they have the black Madonnas. And you say, how could it be? Right. And then which one? Is it Jesus' mother, or is it Mary Magdalene? You understand?
Yeah.
So we could open a can of worms here, but we'll halt at the moment. I only really making a plea for searching for the truth.
Yeah.
That too long we've been told all these Nancy stories around that. I always remember reading the Psalms of David, and I am black and comely, and that. And I said, wee boy, David could have write some nice, sexy poetry. Okay? We need to come upon it in the tomb of Nefertiti, which was there thousands of years before that. What was the purpose? This is really the final thing. What was the purpose of them putting all that information in a particular way, in a particular code? Maybe the Bible is just a whole heap of stories and allegories designed to awaken a certain state of mind. So you have to have all the bits and pieces in order for that to happen.
But the Bible itself has included, let those who have eyes to see, let them see, and those who have ears to hear, let them hear.
Mm-hmm.
And one bishop, when he was giving a teaching session, he said that in the Bible, he quoted a verse, they said that it is God who has blinded the eyes of those who would not believe. So, if you believe
Yeah, but
the truth.
what do you mean by believe? And who's going to tell you the truth?
But what he was saying in there is that the truth is there. But you have to search for the truth, and then you will find. Seek and ye shall find.
But it's so easy to take words and think that they mean the truth.
But that's the thing. People who seeking now, they lean upon their own understanding, which is the programming that they have gotten that Jesus is white and all these symbols that they embrace without knowing the true root and meaning of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they use that as their Rosetta Stone to decode what they're reading. so they get a false or inaccurate interpretation of the actual Bible, because they don't go to it um, with knowledge of the truth. They go with programming that is, you know, encoded or designed to lead them astray. Yeah?
I remember having a spiritual mother, and she once said to me that the praying of the church is what does raise the level of the ancestors in the abode that they're in. They can't pray for themselves. It's only when you're down in the very physical, you could raise the kind of power that would allow them to ascend further, which then in turn would allow you to prosper more. In other words, you'd only have to raise the education of your children, you also have to raise your spiritual energy, so you raise the vibration of your ancestors.
All right. So basically, I don't know if I'm getting this right, but you will guide me accordingly. The spiritual energy that resides in me is connected to the spiritual energy of my ancestors and to the spiritual energy of my children. So that if I deny that in myself, I'm weakening the whole line of spiritual energy.
Yes.
So if I raise the energy in myself, I raise it in my ancestors and I raise it in my children. So I create a legacy then. I or maintain the legacy, which in turn enables me to access more energy and do things on the physical, spiritual plane. Yeah.
And then in fact, when you raise the energy of the ancestors, you in turn raise the benefits to you from the ancestors, because the ancestors having more energy could do their work to help you here.
Right. So when, all right, let's just take it very simplistically, as the Christian faith establishes now, that we are all sons and daughters of God. Right. So when we acknowledge that what we believe to be true in ourselves, we actually give God sons, or we give him the knowledge that he is in us and we are in him, and that he goes through a whole line of power. Right? I use it very simplistic. I go into the pantheon, I'm trying to keep it on the level that the masses could understand. Yeah?
I would hope that the masses understand that,
so,
listen, I put it very simple. If your grandmother's sick in a house and you leave her alone and you give charity down the road to another group, then you've weakened your group. You've weakened the continuity of your group.
Right.
I ain't saying that you're going to be a racist, but I'm saying that you see about your immediate family first.
All right, so a question arises. I know we really are supposed to be going so in-depth into this, but a question arises. And I can't leave it alone. So, many viewers will be saying, well, what the Bible says, thou shalt have no other God before me. And we're talking about gods and pantheon here. So we're talking about ancestors, gods, pantheon. And they're saying, well, you're raising the level of the ancestors. That is a form of worship to your ancestors.
No.
No?
If I pass and you're down and you say, I want some lunch, and I give you $20, I worship you?
No, you help me out.
Right? If I then say, well, I notice you ain't working, come on and clean my yard for me. Right?
Yeah, you help me out there again.
I did not know it. So we have this very peculiar thing.
About what worship is?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So if we helping out or we accepting help from some
like for instance, I once asked a born-again pastor, I said, you have all these angels in the Old Testament, and when these angels are there, and Daniel and them fellas are in trouble, they call them, and they come and they help them. They come to where it's almost like a physical thing, and they know something going to happen. I says, you could do that? You know, I say, how could they do that? He says, the prophets got a special dispensation from God. And I looked at him, I says, that's absolute nonsense. Everybody has this special dispensation from God. So the only problem is that angels, most of the time, don't like human beings.
All right, but
you know, I say, when you call them to ask them for something, and they're good angel, you better have your dossier impeccable, because they will see the skullduggery in it, and you might end up losing.
Yeah. But in Revelation 22, there's a specific verse where John was saying, and I bow down at the feet of the one who showed me these things, to worship, and he said to me, see thou doest not, for I am thy fellow servant,
Yes.
and of the prophets.
But
Worship God. So the angel was telling a man, you don't worship me,
no,
you worship God.
worship God.
Right? I am just, I am the same level with you, or even, a little lower, because
So-
the Bible said we are.
So we always get things wrong, because we say that if you take another religion, and the other religion say, well, we have all these minor gods, and we go to them for help.
Yeah.
But this is the big papi.
Yeah.
This is the one who we pay allegiance to,
Yeah.
right? And they turn around and say, well, all these things here are demons. That's a puerile argument.
Okay, all right. So we're getting into a bit of, I don't want to say semantics, but a little specific here. All right. The other, let's say another religion.
Well, it's not
and they have a
semantic.
shrine or a dedication, a temple dedicated to these minor gods. Or they have an erected image that they pay obeisance to,
Right,
and
so
they bring sacrifice to.
so they'll have a-
that is seen as worship.
Right. So, but what else they would have in that temple?
Well, they'll have more gods than just that one. They will probably have.
No, but what would they have? If it's a proper temple, what would they have?
I can't really say for certain.
They would have a position from where the source and where that source comes from, and that these gods come from that source.
Okay.
So in all the things, you have an acknowledgement of the source.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, but I just want for our viewers that they don't feel that we're
Listen.
getting into a realm that.
No, listen. In the book of Exodus,
Yeah.
in code, you have the Shema for us,
Right.
which is the 72 names of God,
Nice.
which rules the decade of the cycle of the circle.
Right. So in Christianity, we have the acknowledgement that God has
Not in Christianity. You don't ever learn that in Christianity.
in Judaism.
You learn it in Judaism.
Right. In Judaism.
And only a certain level of Judaism.
right.
And each God name
God
has
name.
a particular attribute,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if you want protection, you would sing one God name. If you want health, you'd have another God name. If you want rescue from enemies, you'd have another God name.
And you have to sing these names.
And you have to sing the names. And I go so far as they say, you have to sing them at a particular frequency according to what you want.
Right. So we.
And all that is inside the Bible,
Right.
in the book of Numbers.
Right.
But the ordinary people don't know anything about that.
So we'll be dealing with a book that really has a lot of mystery, secrets, codes.
For a lot of secrets. And you never know it.
Yeah.
You never know it. And even a lot of preachers who are preaching are totally ignorant of it.
All right.
Right?
All right. So are we saying that the God names that exist outside of Judaism,
I'll give you an
in
idea.
the other
I'll give you an idea.
belief systems?
I'll give you an idea.
Yeah.
I have the Shema for us, stuck up. A guy comes in. He's an imam. He looks at me and he says, I see you have the Shema for us on your wall. So I looked at him and I says, I see you know what the Shema for us is.
Yeah.
You know, you don't expect anybody normally to look at that and know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? He says, I shall bring you a gift. Right? They deal with the ability to